Pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome to the December 10th meeting of the Danvers School Committee. The Danvers Public Schools is a dynamic community of independent learners dedicated to respect, responsibility, creativity, and the pursuit of academic and personal excellence. That is the Danvers Public Schools mission statement for anybody that didn't know. I also need to ask if anybody is taping this meeting tonight. Anybody here? No? Good. Excellent. All right, then we will start with items of interest to the superintendent.
I am all set this evening, thank you.
School committee? Anybody?
All set.
I have one,
Go ahead.
which is I wanted to compliment DECA on the entrepreneur program that they had Saturday, working with the life skills and special education kids, and it was great. My two daughters participated in that, and I think they learned a lot, and I think they felt part of something, and it was just a great experience. And the folks in that program, the kids in that program, in the DECA program, I mean, are so giving of their time and experience that it was really terrific to see. So I know they're going to take that. That's one of the projects that they'll enter in the nationals, and hope that goes great. So and I met Dave's lovely daughter Colby, who was one of the leaders of the group, and very, very nice.
Yeah, I guess I'll take a moment to be a proud dad. My daughter was one of the three girls from DECA that put that together, and I attended as well, and I know Mary Beth did too, and it was a great event. So I congratulate all three of them.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Good? All right, anybody in the community have any items of interest? Seeing nobody, then we'll move on to the student representatives.
Yes.
Okay, so starting at Great Oak. Great Oak fifth graders are working on identifying themes during a reading workshop. The students are learning that stories have multiple themes and that authors use different techniques, such as thorough through character feelings, thoughts, and actions. Using Google Classroom in their Chromebooks, students then watched a short video clip about the Michigan football team, which had a similar theme to the text they read. Students then created an essay to compare and contrast the theme in both the text and the video. Our music teacher, Sarah Duran, recently led our fourth graders in mindfulness and teamwork activities during our dedicated SEL time. She used a singing bowl to have students attend to their breath and thoughts. Students then worked in teams to create shapes with their bodies to show how important it is to work as a team. The time ended with another mindfulness moment using the singing bowl.
And at Highlands, they used their language-based programs. Students completed a unit based on pumpkins, and their culminating project was a pumpkin palooza, in which each of the students created a pumpkin reflecting their type of smart based on Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences. They created and delivered invitations to the event and prepared oral presentations for the guests that highlighted the process and described their type of smart. And following the lead of Thorpe and Riverside School, their morning announcements are starting to sound different, and they will be using the book Breathe Like a Bear, which contains mindful moments for kids to use in order to feel calm and focused. It will allow us to start our day with a mindful moment, and then they can practice for 2 weeks before moving on to another one. And the fifth grade students there will be an integral part of this process because they read their morning announcements. And with the help of Mr. Kleiman, the school social worker, they're really excited to get this up and running.
At Riverside, each grade level has been focused on grade-appropriate social-emotional learning. For example, kindergartners completed their 10th week of We Thinkers with Ms. Silva. The last topic covered was whole-body listening. Students learned that listening is an active process. In grades 3 and 5, students have been working on mindfulness with Ms. Dennett and Coach. They have been especially focused on self-awareness and self-management through deep breathing, along with stretching and balancing poses. Finally, fourth graders have been discussing growth mindset versus fixed mindset, and as a class, students have brainstormed their own criteria for success and strategies to use when something feels hard.
At Smith, the fifth grade students have begun their journalism unit. This unit teaches students a unique way to write an informational text. Students began the unit by reading and viewing a variety of news reports with the goal of learning the importance of gathering key details, the who, the what, the when, the where, and how. They are focusing on explaining information in an engaging way. Students are working towards creating new reports. This unit, along with their reading unit, will incorporate the social studies standards on the 13 colonies. Many classroom teachers continue to utilize Open Circle as part of their weekly SEL blocks at Smith. A recent lesson in 4th grade focused on categorizing and defining feelings, which included happy, excited, anxious, and sad. Students were given the opportunity to share their own experiences with both comfortable and uncomfortable feelings.
At Thorpe, the kindergartners at Thorpe recently completed the science unit, Needs of Plants and Animals. The students assumed the role of scientists to help a group of children in the fictional town of Mariposa Grove solve a problem with their garden. The Mariposa caterpillars had disappeared. The kindergartners students investigated, observed, and discussed the needs of plants, animals, and humans to come up with a solution. They discovered that the new garden design had to include items that would satisfy the needs of both the caterpillars and the humans. They found that the ideal garden design would use both milkweed for the caterpillars and vegetables for the humans. Students then explained their garden design to the group. During their SEL block, Mr. Amaral, Miss Olmsted, and Miss Mrs. have been engaging students in activities to regulate and develop awareness of the social and emotional qualities of themselves and others. Body awareness is being strengthened through movement and mindful games. Emotions and cognitive awareness is being facilitated through group activities using nonverbal cues to identify emotions, as well as ways to deal with strong emotions. Movement flow, stories, and discussions are being used to enhance instruction. Social and emotional awareness is also being integrated into the music, art, and physical education classes.
At HRMS, during the December, the students there and staff began planning the school-wide Kindness Garden Project. In their Project Hawk time this month, students were challenged to identify a word or a quote that embodies kindness. Students also began to draft a design for their individual rock. They watched 2 videos on how to practice kindness in our community. HRMS students also had an opportunity to create holiday cards for either our troops serving overseas or for the Senior Center. Recently, HRMS received a flag from troops stationed in Afghanistan as a thank you for a care package of candy that HRMS students sent. The grade 8 students are currently engaged in a new science unit called Heredity, Inheritance and Variation of Traits. Students are building models of genes and using those models to better understand the parts of genes and other concepts like mutations. The grade 7 students have completed cell projects in which they built models representing cell parts and their functions.
And finally, here at Danvers High School, students in the AP U.S. History went to the Edward M. Kennedy Institute this month. They acted as senators and completed a reenactment of the 3/5 Compromise and engaged in civil discourse. And like we discussed earlier, DECA and Best Buddies teamed up this weekend for an Entre Buddies holiday fair. Students from our Life Skills program learned entrepreneurship from our DECA students and sold products they created themselves.
Great. In addition to having them read about our strategic plan in action that each month our schools present, and Clea and Cynthia are able to share that with our community, they have been active with our policy subcommittee, and we're looking forward to next month and expanding their role that they will be talking with school committee about the graduation requirements and part of the program of studies. So we're looking forward to that. And along with our Martin Luther King events through the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee for the town, they're also working on a piece for that event also. So thank you.
All right, great. Thanks, guys. All right.
Okay, we're going to continue with a high school theme tonight to begin with before we get into other items on our agenda. And information from the superintendent. The first 2 are high school. We welcome Shelby Johnson, a high school senior here, who is the recipient of our Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents Academic Excellence Award. And I would like to ask Dr. Colombino to come up first and talk about Shelby's accomplishments, and then we have her certificate to give to her.
This is a good start. Okay. Hello. So, Shelby. Shelby is in the first decile in her class and the junior chief marshal at last year's graduation. She's taking a challenging, I couldn't find a better word than that, set of courses including 6 AP courses ranging from everything from economics to Spanish language. She's a captain of the girls field hockey team, ice hockey, and girls lacrosse team. She also received an honorable mention recently as a Salem News All-Star in field hockey. And she's the co-president of DECA and vice president of the Danvers High School National Honor Society. The accolades can go on and on. But most importantly, Shelby's a leader, a scholar, and as I've had a chance to get to know her a little bit the last year and a half, she's a genuinely nice person and someone that we are extremely proud to have here at Danvers High School. And we're so excited to see where her time at DHS takes her in life. So, Shelby Johnson.
Thank you. So Shelby, please come up. Mom or Dad want to take pictures? And then I just hold this, we'll put you in the middle. How's that? This is the plaque that is displayed at the high school. Yes, come on up. Lots will take the picture first. Thank you.
Oh, good.
Very much. Congratulations, Shelby.
Make sure you're
Thank you.
smiling on the back. I know, it's okay.
We've been trying to have her come to a school. Finally got her here.
Thanks for coming, Shelby.
Squeezing us in.
I thought it would never happen.
Thank you very much. We're very proud of her. Thank you. Okay, next, continuing with the theme of pride, we have our Danvers Pride presentation, and we will have Dr. Colombino come back up. He has members of our Danvers High School community here to present about their school improvement goals this year.
Brought a small army with me tonight. So at graduation last June, we were so excited about our students, and as Dr. Dana has mentioned before, organizing their speeches around our core values of respect, responsibility, creativity, the pursuit of academic excellence. So we were inspired by that, and we took a book out of the students' pages, and we organized our school pride presentation. Not quite as exciting as our core values, but around our 3 school improvement plan goals for the year. So we want to highlight a few pieces of the superb work being done at Danvers High School by our teachers and students. We also want to give a glimpse into the type of courses and experiences we currently offer students and hope to expand with next year as part of the program of studies that you'll hear more about in January. So first up, we have our ELA teacher leader, yearbook advisor, and much to his chagrin, AP computer science teacher, Christian Milcarrick, to come up and talk about social emotional learning at our professional community here at Danvers High.
Good evening. So just to give you a little bit of the genesis of my involvement in this program, in June or maybe May of last year, Dr. Colombino invited me and 2 other teachers, Ms. Bollier and Mr. Vecchioni, to participate in the Leading Together program. There was a meeting there was a workshop over the summer, and there's been another one this fall. And in all honesty, it's been a very enriching experience, to be completely honest. And it's the focus of the material that they present is to help teachers remember why they began teaching, and to remember what truly matters to them, and help them kind of reflect on who they are and why they got into this, why they chose this calling, if you will. And when we first introduced this to the staff back in the end of August or early September, the way I kind of described it to the staff was that, when we come in and during, Labor Day, come in off the summer, we're refreshed, we're revigorated, I don't know. But anyway, we all have all these grandiose ideas for what we're going to accomplish this year. And we, that's Labor Day. And then we get to Columbus Day and, we're still pushing forward, but we're not maybe making all the progress that we thought we were going to make. And then, by Veterans Day, we're like, what are we doing? So this gives us an opportunity. It kind of forces the staff to take a step back and think about, why am I doing this? Why did I get into teaching? Why is this how I spend my time away from my family and my kids? And so it's something that Dr. Colombino and me and Meg and Paul have tried to infuse into either a professional early release or our faculty meeting. So what Dr. Colombino asked me to do today was just to give you guys a brief glimpse of one of the exercises or the activities that we did with the staff. It's a real quick kind of warm-up activity. And if you guys wouldn't mind, I'd love if you'd participate. It's not super intensive. You just have to stand up or sit down. That's basically all you need to do. All right? So I'm gonna participate if you don't mind. I'm gonna read a statement, and if it's true of you or anybody in the audience, I would love for you guys to stand up. So you've worked for Danvers Public Schools, including school committee, for less than 5 years. you've worked for Danvers Public Schools, including school committee, for 5 years or more. So if that applies to you, and mind standing, that'd be great. You're the parent or guardian of a young child or children.
What's young mean?
Preteen. All right, you're the parent or guardian of at least one teenager. You have a child in your life that you care about. You grew up outside of Massachusetts. You grew up outside of the North Shore, but in Massachusetts. You grew up outside of Danvers, but on the North Shore. You grew up in Danvers.
There you go. Now we have our students.
You have a talent or a hobby that most people in the room don't know about.
Oh, yes.
You have binge watched an entire season of Breaking Bad. You have binge watched an entire season of Game of Thrones. All right. So thank you very much for participating. So the idea is that we are building amongst the staff a sense of community, trust, collegiality. As you guys noticed, you were kind of giggling, looking around. It's just a few minutes at an early release for a PD for us just kind of realize we're all in this together and remember why we're doing it. And it's I think been a positive experience so far, and I look forward to pursuing this and as the year continues. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christian. So up next, we have two of our amazing science teachers, Christian Agulevitz and Peter DeMauro. So they're going to talk about with some of their students a pilot year of our Project Lead the Way, Principles of Biomedical Science course.
Right. How do I change the slide?
I got it. Just tell me when.
I was like, I can't actually see that from here. But so our Principles of Biomedical Science course is in its first year. I think we're off to a great start so far. It surrounds the mysterious death of a woman named Ana Garcia, and we study various medical issues related to her that could have possibly caused this to happen to her. We started the year off with the mystery. Then now we're in a very long diabetes unit. We're going to be experts on that by the end of this. We're moving forward into a more genetics-based sickle cell disease. And then we'll learn about the heart, infectious disease, and postmortem studies. So by the end of the year, the students will come up with how they think Ana Garcia had passed away.
In addition to the engaging curriculum, Project Lead the Way also offers opportunities and partnerships with organizations across Massachusetts. So there's already been a couple events that Chris and I have attended. We went to a networking event at WPI. We got to meet other master teachers that teach all the courses in the biomedical science curriculum. And then all Project Lead the Way students went on a college and career fair earlier this month as well to network with different colleges and universities to look at programs that they might be interested in. As we move into the latter half of the year, there's also some exciting design challenges that we can have students participate in. In the diabetes unit, one of the culminating assignments is to come up with a design project. It's called Advances in Diabetes, where they have to design a potential medical device to help individuals living with diabetes. And the same thing with the heart disease unit. So I'm excited for our students to get into that and participate in conjunction with other students across the state in submitting their design. So we have a few of our students here that we can invite up and talk a little bit about each of our unit. So I have a few students from my class that will come up and talk about Unit 1. Clea, actually, I also have Clea and Cynthia, so they could also chime in.
We love biomed. Favorite class.
Hi, I'm Hannah Golden. I'm in Mr. DeMaro's class, and in Unit 1, we started with the crime scene and the evidence.
We looked at Anna's crime scene with the body, like the blood spatter, and then possible things that caused her death.
There are many ways to analyze a crime scene, including a zone method where you divide up the crime scene into zones, which can be used in small indoor spaces. And then there's also the grid method, which is more of an outdoor sort of thing because bigger spaces are better for that.
And we learned a lot of different ways to analyze a crime and through a lot of different labs, such as the blood splatter lab and the time of death lab. Learned about different formulas to figure out different ways that she could have died.
You can analyze the time of death by we took Anna's rectal temperature, hypothetical, of course, and then divided it by the number of hours since we found her, and that found us most likely when she died, which was early in the morning. Do you want to explain the blood splatter?
Yeah, so in the blood splatter lab, so we got fake blood, obviously, and we put it in a pipette, and from different heights, you have to figure out where, but depending on the height, it would have a different splatter on the ground. So we analyzed the splatter that was in the crime scene and figured out where she would have fallen from, if she was hit on the way down, or if she was hit and then knocked down.
We haven't finished totally yet, but from Unit 1, we concluded that it was probably a natural/accidental death. Yeah, that was Unit 1.
We'll have Becky come up and talk about Unit 2, diabetes. This is a picture of some of the projects that students did to describe the different types of diabetes.
So starting off Unit 2, we took some notes on diabetes, the different types, type 1, type 2, just to get a basic understanding of like the different symptoms and signs and how it affects everyday life of people who are diabetic. And then from there, we got a description of a doctor's appointment that Anna had when she was younger. And we had to look at the description and figure out whether or not Anna could be diagnosed with diabetes. And from the description, we concluded that Anna was a type 1 diabetic. So from there, we got a document that showed Anna's food diary from 2 days before she died. And then we looked at the food choices she made and the things that she ate that could have elevated or lowered her blood sugars, which could have resulted in an unhealthy situation. And then from there, we worked on a project where we had to take the food that Anna ate for those past 2 days and then try to break it down and try to make healthier options for Anna and what could have been a better diet for a diabetic. And then like the projects on the board, we used different materials from around the classroom to create a model on what actually happens in the body for a diabetic. And we were able to alter the project for type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and somebody who does not have diabetes at all.
Thank you.
So we can't just leave the new and exciting to the sciences now, can we? So next up, Pamela Foss and Will Ford are going to share an example of the amazing work done in our humanities department at Danvers High School through their Interdisciplinary American Studies course.
Thanks, guys. How's it going? So we thought we would start off just by kind of describing what our course is because it's kind of new to DHS and it's new for us too, having been teaching in the school for a couple of years. So what interdisciplinary means is that we're combining a US 2 class and an American literature class at the junior level. So that's taking US 2, which starts around 1865, which is Reconstruction, and goes to as modern as we can get, which is usually around the Cold War. And so we take that and we combine that with different literature that happens across that time period as well. And so our subtitle for our course is Voices of Protest and Progress. So that has been a really neat way for us to sort of focus a lot of what we've been doing and learning and looking at the history that we've been seeing, but looking at it through maybe some voices that you typically wouldn't see in an American literature class. So one of the other things we wanted to highlight too is how grateful we are to administration for supporting us in achieving more professional development and making this course new and fun and innovative and engaging not only for us but also for our students. So back a year ago when we were first planning this class, we had the opportunity to visit several other schools that are already running it. So we got to go to Masco and Linfield High School where this program is working really well and they've been doing it for quite some time. So interviewing those teachers and looking at what was going well there and what their students were enjoying really helped us kind of design what we wanted our course here to look like in our pilot this year. In addition to that, we've been fortunate to attend a couple different professional development courses, one of which was through Facing History called A New Conversation About Race, which has been a huge focus for us in our course, looking at sort of how race relationships develop from 1865 into the present and over the course of those different units. In addition to that, this summer we were able to go to another course called Literature and History of American Protest, which was kind of perfect for this course. It was really fortuitous that we were able to go to that. And that was, again, providing us with more voices and resources that we could sort of integrate into our course. Last couple things is Pamela and I are fortunate enough to receive study group time from administration to be able to plan in the spring last year and the fall now for our course in developing and continuing developing our curriculum. And lastly, we are fortunate enough, or I was fortunate enough actually just to be accepted today to Columbia Teachers College Argumentation Institute of 2019, and that's coming up in January, and that's all about student activism, which is a huge component of our course as well. So that's another thing that we'll be able to embed into our course in the next couple of months. So we're very excited about that. In addition to that, we have three students here tonight who are going to share a little bit about what our course looks like to you, so you can hear from their point of view.
Thank you. My name is Logan Blaze, and I wanted to emphasize how much Mr. Ford and Ms. Foss lead this class in discussion and or debates in class, which pretty much intrigues every single student's interest in the topic that we are learning about for the next couple weeks, and it in turn betters the students' creativity, which with the projects, they give us full control over all of them, and they give us pretty much the right to express the creativity we want to through the amount of discussion we have I previously talked about. So, thank you.
So I'm Charlotte Larson. One of the biggest themes that Ms. Foss and Mr. Ford have been pushing in our curriculum is the concept of project-based learning, which we've been doing a ton of throughout the entire year thus far. And one of the projects that we did was called our Spark Diary project, in which we took over the persona of a fictional character we created who lived during the time period we were studying at the time, which was, you could be a Native American, you could be an immigrant, you could be, just be anybody. You could even be just a wealthy white, literally anybody. You could be whoever you wanted, and you wrote a diary from this person's perspective, which was such a cool opportunity. I was able to step into the shoes of a female Polish immigrant who I fictionally created using all the resources that were provided to me. We went to the library and did research there, and it was just that whole project was such a fun learning experience. It was definitely educational. It was super helpful, and at the same time, I was having a complete blast doing all this. So I'm very excited for more project-based learning in this course.
Hi, my name's Erin Liley. I'm going to talk more about the class point of it. Coming into this class, I did CP classes, and I did CP history and co-taught CP English. And I thought having two teachers was extremely helpful for me. And being able to come into this class and actually have an opportunity to learn more in a way, having the history and English combined, I thought it was very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our students and the other students who have participated here tonight. So nice to hear you guys. I could not have paid them money or written these words were totally theirs. We asked them to think about it. We did get, maybe it was homework, but their words speak for themselves, and they really truly are talented, and it's such an honor to work with them. And that's truly how this, new shift in education is going. Teachers coming in as coaches, working with students, giving them the independence to follow their passion, and where their passion is where their true learning is. And so I think that's another thing that's been great, to have this new course come in, and for Mr. Ford and I to be able to plan from scratch and have all these great resources, professional development, other schools, professional development that comes into our time during early releases and the days before school. We really have employed everything, and it's a testimony to the students and to the town. And so we are, Mr. Ford said this word a lot, but we are truly grateful. It is a team teaching relationship. We come in, Mr. Ford and I take our time, whether it's formally during our CPTs, during the study groups, or just kind of as we're teaching class, we're kind of bouncing ideas off each other. We take our time to think about what needs to be presented from the ELA perspective, and I bring my history content, and we figure out how to make those pieces best work. One of the highlights for me from class was when we were teaching about, I needed to teach about political bosses during the Gilded Age, and Mr. Ford needed to teach about rhetorical analysis. And we found two competing perspectives. Someone who was all about graft and thought it was just an opportunity, and who am I to let an opportunity pass by? And I took the persona of someone who said, take the high ground, take the moral ground. So we presented these speeches. We like hammed it up and put on a little performance for the students. And then we asked the students to take on perspectives from what type of position in society they might have, whether it be an immigrant group, a capitalist group, etc. And they needed to, as a team, create a response to whom they would support. And then some of them even took the initiative and took this risk and presented the speeches themselves. And some of them, who may or may not be in the room, felt so bold to get up on a chair and deliver his or her speech. It speaks to, I think, the curriculum planning and the highlight and the strength of being able to have two subjects work together and bring out the best of both. But it also speaks to the amount of trust that is essential in teaching, the relationship that Mr. Ford and I have been able to continue and foster, but definitely the relationship between teachers and students, and then students and students. It's a real happy family in there, and we always start class by asking, "How was your weekend?" Which is a true highlight and a good icebreaker, but allows us to really push limits in the classroom. So it's a phenomenal place, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that pulls together the high school pieces for their school improvement. Any questions or comments before we have our high school students head out?
Anybody? Eric?
Just the enthusiasm you all have for what you're doing is so contagious. Pamela, I think you smiled during you're just excited talking about it, which is great. You all are. And so congratulations to you guys and the students. And it's a real nice picture of what's going on there, and different kinds of learning and a lot of creativity. So thank you.
Mary Beth?
It makes me excited. It makes me want to go back to school, believe it or not. But I love seeing the hands-on learning, the engaging of the students, because it makes it more interesting for the students as well as for the teachers. And back to reason why you went into teaching. So thank you very much for all the hard work that you as teachers and you as students are continuing to do. I appreciate it.
Jeff?
This is fantastic. I did have a question on the insulin glucose connection model. So I don't know who the expert is there, but so a lot of the stuff that we do is digital. You could have, done a PowerPoint or gone online and done a video. This looks like a real model with actual clay. Or what's the rationale and the teaching methodology as to why this is more effective in this case versus doing something like online? Because all of these things look fantastic, very hands-on. It seems like.
Students in three-dimensional and have moving parts. So the students had to be able to manipulate it to change between someone without diabetes and someone with type 1 and type 2. And I think having the physical model made, all the difference rather than have a PowerPoint that showed this is what type 1 and this is what type 2 is. And then they presented it to us, each group. We walked around and went, and they told us as if we were patients who were just being told that we had diabetes. So they had to teach us in terms that we're understanding, but able to be clear what it would be like in our bodies to have diabetes.
Interesting. That's good. So students learn better with models and actually having to show. And if you were a doctor, I'm sure you'd have to perform some surgery too, or at some point.
I think that curriculum is really smart about putting students in a position to practice different scenarios that they might encounter if they go into different fields.
Yeah.
So in this one, like Kristen was saying, they would pretend that they're a doctor or nurse explaining how it works to someone who just got the disease. Whereas in the advances in diabetes design lesson we're coming up to, they're going to have to present as if they're writing a grant. You need to present to investors that want to invest in their design. So that one is going to be more presentation based. So it all depends on sort of the perspective
In the audience.
Really exciting.
Great. Terrific.
Yeah, and definitely as Cynthia and I are both in Mr. DeMaro's class for Biomed, definitely as a student, it makes all the more difference to be able to feel things and use different mediums to create things rather than making PowerPoints, which we can make in any of our other classes. It's really great.
I know for me especially, I'm definitely a hands-on learner, so to be able to understand and work with different pieces, especially getting help from Mr. DeMaro, and really just having it's just a higher level understanding as opposed to just seeing worksheet after worksheet or a slide presentation, and you can only get so much from looking at a two-dimensional picture. Having that in your hands is really something different.
Yeah. I mean, the concept is almost like you're going deeper versus, you could have 1,000 videos or 1,000 pictures, like you said, but you're really going deep in understanding this. So it's a great concept. Good. Thanks.
Great presentations, everyone. High schoolers, thank you for coming in, I'm sure. This is not on the top of your list on a Monday night to come speak to school committee, but you guys did a great job. The classes sound phenomenal. My daughter that just graduated last year would have loved that biomedical class. She would have absolutely loved it. And I love the co-taught model of the American Studies and some of the other classes. It's so important, though, in that situation to find teachers that work well together, because that obviously isn't the case. Not everyone works well together, so obviously you two work really well together. And it's great for the students because everyone has a different learning style, so they might be able to, relate better to one of you than the other and, get what they need for both subjects in one class, which is awesome. So thank you all very much.
I agree with all that. Is your class double time? Is it double time?
It is a double block. The kids are champs. They not once have not heard a complaint. They are troopers.
Okay. All right. Good. No, this. We didn't do stuff like this, did we? No. That's not, so wonder we learned anything. So great. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. It's great. Again, like Eric says, the enthusiasm is obvious, and it just shows. Plus, doing CSI in school is just the coolest thing.
Absolutely.
Or Dexter.
We play music in the background.
Oh, it's great. Without every time. It's great.
Yes, we have
All right.
music in the science classroom. I went to visit.
All right. So
And we are
thanks,
very
everybody.
grateful
Yep.
for these presentations because it does bring it full circle from when we bring a policy to our school committee and we talk about it, but to bring the people who are actually experiencing it makes such a difference for our community to share that. So thank you for sharing that. And here's an opportunity for all our high school students and families. They could head out as we make a transition, and our teachers too. Thank you.
Time to escape.
It's always that time of our agenda that it gets quieter in here. Thank you.
Have a good week.
You too. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Great. So our next three items are, one is an annual, a quarterly, and then we have our monthly update about Smith Elementary School. So we're going to move into our Wellness Committee, and we have an annual report, and our co-chair, Mr. St. Pierre, Athletic Director, will be giving that report this evening.
Good evening, everyone. I'll just give you a quick update on what we've been talking about. We have a great group that meets 4 times a a year, and we talk about all sorts of different things. I'll just run down the agenda for the year for you, just kind of give you an update, and we can take questions at the end. In our first meeting, we talked about the Atlas and Athena program, which you know is the substance abuse and healthy decision-making group that we have, the sort of a mentor group for our freshmen, fall student athletes. We pair them up with upper class student athletes to sort of help them with that transition into high school. We review the wellness policy as we do every year. We talk about positive youth development, Parent University, a couple of initiatives from the Danvers Cares group. Then on the next meeting, we moved into baseline testing, excuse me, with Amanda Porter, our athletic trainer. She walked us through that program, what it tests, how often she does it, and the logistics of that program. We review the concussion policy. Lyle Harrod reviewed the Parent University event that we had this year again. He went into the youth risk behavioral survey from the high school and talked about some of the highlights of that, the trends and the data that show from that survey. And then we talked very briefly about Light the Night Purple that's coming up in, I think it's April, May in the spring, which is the opioid awareness walk, which is more of a celebration of the recovery for the good stories, the positive things that can come out of opioid addiction. And then in January, we'll get a food services update from Mr. Powers. We'll talk about the chemical health policy that affects student athletes. We'll discuss the youth risk behavior survey results from the middle school. We'll talk about various MIAA and school social emotional learning initiatives that are underway and ongoing this year. And then we'll talk about the SBIRT screening, EpiPen, CPR trainings, AED updates. Again, we'll kind of talk a little more about Light the Night Purple as we get close to that. And then Danvers Cares will have sort of a wrap up. So that's a quick overview of all the different items that we address every year. And in addition to the strategic plan that's focusing a lot on the social emotional learning and the mindfulness, the MIAA offers sort of workshops throughout the year that we're trying to capitalize on and send some students to, coaches and different staff members to just sort of hear it from a different place and hear it from different people and sort of see how it all connects to what we're doing here. So in October, we took a group of about a half a dozen students and coaches to the Wellness Summit out in Westboro. And they talk, there's a guest speaker on opioids. And then they also talk about other topics like the social emotional learning and mindfulness was a big one, student engagement, team building and leadership. And they have specialists in all these areas come in and run these sort of breakout sessions. And they also have like an exhibit hall with vendors and information. It's a lot of resources for. We had students, but there's staff and all sorts of leaders in the school community who went as well. So it's beneficial. It's a good thing to go to. And then coming up in January, there is an opioid awareness conference that we're going to send a group to as well. Again, just to kind of hear the message that they hear a lot through Danvers Cares and the school here, but hear it from a different angle. And sort of expose this group to some other resources that they might not know about. So there's different things like that throughout the year that we're trying to capitalize on. That's all I have. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer anything for you. Jeff?
No, I mean, a lot of it is really good. It fits in well with Danvers Cares with a lot of the work that we're doing. So it's definitely great to see the connections that are being made, throughout the school. So appreciate it.
Dave?
I'm on the wellness committee. I think Mr. St. Pierre summed it up very well.
It's true. You are. Eric?
No, I'm good. Thank you. It's good to hear the report. Thanks.
Mary Beth?
Just a quick question. Sorry, I don't have a voice, but do coaches participate in these workshops as well as students?
Do they?
Yes, you.
They do. We have had coaches, not as much as the student athletes. We try to get the student athletes to go. That's first and foremost. That would be my goal from where I'm sitting. But we are trying to get coaches to either chaperone and go with them. And there are some that want to go. They want to learn about this stuff, especially the teacher coaches, who it's going to be part of their daily job. So that's a push from my end to sort of get some more coaches to be doing that too.
Yeah, I think that would be a great thing that if coaches wanted to and were encouraged to go as well with the students. Thank you.
Yeah, they run the programs in a way that they're appropriate for all groups, which is nice. There's a student engagement one that is more for staff, which I found out. So that would be more where we would have teachers or coaches going versus the student athletes. But usually they have it tailored so it works for both pretty well.
Great, thank you.
And then you'll see when we get to new business, we do have the wellness policy on the agenda. So that's part of the annual review. And those are just some clerical cleanups from the review that people found. But you'll see that under new business in a little bit.
Great. Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next, we have our student service update. Dr. Tatum comes almost on a quarterly basis, and we thought with the changes with CPAC, she'd be able to give us some updates also that she has been working with Alicia.
So you all met Alicia Cody, I think, some time ago. She's one of our preschool parents. She works she's a nurse. She works the overnight shifts a lot, so that's why she can't always come to this meeting. So just to update you on what's been going on with CPAC, we had the resource fair, as you all know, in September. Alicia then sent out a survey through Connect Ed and through her own resources to as many parents as she could to try to get some suggestions on what they would like to have as workshops, perhaps for CPAC or their interests. Then she held a meeting sometime after that. She called it a business meeting where some parents came and they went over the survey results and they kind of made decisions on what they would like to push forward as far as workshops are concerned. The parents' rights meeting was held in October, and she asked Bethany Stangus, she is our preschool coordinator, one of the school psychologists in the district, to give the preschool parents a workshop on preparing for preschool IEPs. Alicia felt that this was an area where parents get very nervous. You know, they're little babies and they don't know what to expect. So Bethany did a really nice workshop on November 28th, and it was well received. There was quite a few people that showed up. It was held at Riverside, so that was nice and comfortable for a lot of people. That was really great. And she's now looking to do some workshops for parents on mindfulness and the things that we're doing here in Danvers, kind of help parents understand what we're doing, what our aim is, and with some of the special area teachers who are really delving into that SEL and mindfulness. So we're going to look to that in the next couple of months. And some of our speech pathologists, actually all of our speech pathologists, went to a really huge ASHA conference, and at several of the workshops, they talked about how screen time is affecting how our children access language and how their language is developed. So they're going to do a workshop for CPAC on that as well. So that's where we're headed. Alicia is now getting a nice core group of parents that are coming regularly to the meetings that she's holding. So I think that they're going to be a good support for her. And I think that, it's nice that we're starting CPAC again with some parents who are of young children. And I think it's really kind of rejuvenating and it's kind of fun. That's what I have.
Thank you.
Questions, Dave?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Good. Eric?
I'm all set. Thank
Mary
you.
Beth?
Thank you, Mary.
All set. Thank you, Mary.
Jeff? Good. You're off the hook.
Thank you. Okay, and our monthly Smith School project and facilities update with Mr. Taverna.
So this month we held interviews for our finalists for our construction manager at risk to start that next phase of the project. We're excited that WT Rich was selected as the company for that, pending our finalized contract with them, but we did that right before Thanksgiving, I believe. That was the week before Thanksgiving. So we're excited to welcome them on as part of our project team as we move forward into the next phase, which includes going to the MSBA this Wednesday morning to finalize our project funding agreement with them. So this is where they will authorize the schematic design that we've done to date and lock us in financially for what their portion of the grant will be as we move forward into design development in the next phases. This Thursday night at 7 o'clock at the middle school is our next community forum. We encourage everyone to attend. We'll start off with an informal kind of meet and greet with some of the project personnel, getting to see some renderings on boards around the room with some light refreshments, and then we'll move into a short presentation that will be done by the project team, and then we'll answer a few questions. And then on January 8th at the Board of Selectmen meeting, that's where we'll go to approve the project to move on to town meeting in early February. So we'll give you more of those dates for the month of January, but since it was the following night after our school committee meeting, I thought I would put out January 8th now so that everybody could have it on their radar. 7th, January 7th. It's one of those tricky. The second
January
Monday is
7th.
January 7th.
How can the second Monday possibly be January 7th? If you asked
Is my
me,
math wrong?
there would have to be
My
8
calendar
days
wrong?
to get us to a
He
second
is
Monday.
working on the entire budget. Those are really big numbers. This is a small.
It is the 7th, it's the first Monday.
That would be the first Monday, so school committee.
It's in our school. It's
It is in our calendar as the 7th,
go
so
back
we're
and
going to
check.
double check that. That could have
It's listed on the website as, because I looked at that.
as January 14th.
7th.
As January 7th.
We do
I'll
need
look
to double
again.
check that.
We're going to double check that
So
and send out
so
an email.
usually,
It would be the second Monday.
but usually it's the third Monday, isn't it? When is?
That would be Martin Luther King Day.
But that's not till the 21st this year. So Martin Luther King Day is later.
This is riveting TV for anybody who's out there.
They don't know their meeting.
We are going to clarify.
All right. You see the blank look on my face when you were saying that? I'm like,
Well, and I looked earlier and I said in my head it didn't.
Monday,
all right.
January 7th.
We'll figure that out.
On our website.
All right.
Okay.
Great, thanks.
We
All
have
right.
time to fix
Any,
that.
anybody have any questions about Smith School?
I do. Just one question.
Go ahead.
Keith, excuse me. Have we worked with W.T. Rich anywhere in town before?
We have not. They are doing the Pine Grove Elementary School in
Like Pentucket area?
in the Triton School District.
Triton.
So I want to say Rowley, but I could be wrong. So part of
I
the
think it is
Triton
Rowley,
School District. So they're working on that project now, and they kind of seem to be operating in the sweet spot just around the size of the Smith School. So they do lots of elementary projects that size. So they are based out of Hamilton. So they are a local company.
Great. We know where to find them.
We do. The project manager will actually reside in Danvers. So has some nice local connections. Everybody's from the area.
You mean project manager already resides in Danvers, or we're making the project manager?
I don't have that kind of power. We don't have that power.
And then I just want to reiterate what Keith said, that there is a meeting this Thursday night. I'm on the Smith School Building Committee for a school committee member, and I unfortunately cannot attend Thursday night due to a work commitment, but I encourage people to come. That we've had a couple of these. This one's going to be at the middle school instead of the Smith School to make it a little more centrally located, get it out of that building, and for everyone in town to realize that it's a whole town project. It's not just a Smith School project. So I would highly suggest anyone that's interested to show up.
And I think that is a good point. This project will allow us to have some more flexibility for space within our existing elementary schools. So many of the concepts that we're able to incorporate into a brand new building, we're already talking about then how do we then move programs and use that space then that's going to be created to bring those programs to our other elementary schools and also to the middle school and the high school, like you heard about project-based learning and a lot of the visioning work that we did to really use those concepts throughout the district.
And we'll also open up community space for community members outside of the Smith district to use for, whatever approved functions, maybe.
Right.
That was it for me.
Great. Anybody else? Everybody good? All right. Thanks, Keith. And I guess we're on to unfinished business.
Thank you. For policy, the superintendent recommends the approval of the review of sections D and E as per the MASC request for a second reading. We did make, before we go to the motion, one change in that recommendation for policy EEAA, which is walkers and riders. We would like to keep the Danvers policy, which was more personalized and is working here in the district.
Right. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Is there any further discussion about sections D and E? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. So we're on to new business.
Thank you. Next, for a new business policy, the superintendent recommends the approval of the review of sections F and G as per the MASC request for a first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Was there anything substantive in here that we should talk about?
The two sections are facilities and then equal employment opportunities. So they really were standard and updating language pieces. There wasn't anything else substantial in these.
All right. Any discussion on this? Anybody have any questions? Everybody's good? All right, all those in favor for a first reading, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Next
So we have had a
item.
busy year with policy of really doing some updates, making sure all the language is up to date. So the next one is our wellness policy, and the superintendent recommends the approval of the review of the wellness policy for a first reading.
So moved.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. And as I recall, reading through here, there was really nothing substantive in this either, correct? Is that
Yeah,
am I
nothing
correct
at
in
all.
saying that?
Yeah,
Yep.
very, it was just semantics, a few words here and there. No change really at all.
All right, does anybody have any additional questions or comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, up next to the superintendent's evaluation. All right. Who would like to start? We'll start with the most senior member of the committee, Eric Crane.
Mr. Chairman, I think overall, are we talking about the actual evaluation or the process of the evaluation?
Well, no, this is the actual
The
evaluation.
actual evaluation, all right. Basically, I think Lisa has done a strong job this year as compared to other years. I consider when I look at the overall goals and I've said this before, the dovetailing of the strategic plan with the goals of the committee, I mean, of the department and what you do every year to draw those connections between planning, hiring, and tying everything that we do as a district together with the strategic plan still makes perfect sense and still moves the district forward. I think when we reviewed a few weeks ago, we reviewed the results of MCAS, and there's always things that one can hope get better over time. But I continue to believe that you and the administration around you are doing the right things to get to those points. So again, commend you on the job you're doing. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
All right. Mary Beth?
But I really don't have a voice, and I apologize.
Do you want?
So the evaluation, I rated Dr. Dana proficient in everything. I'm just going to read what I wrote for the summative evaluation, and then I did write some other things in the other sections that, Lisa, you can read at your... So Dr. Dana has proved to be a proficient overall for this year's superintendent evaluation. Dr. Dana has worked diligently this past year to advance the school district for the future. She has done this by working with her administrative team, faculty, staff, and the community to develop a new strategic plan for the Danvers Public Schools. Through this new strategic plan, I look forward to seeing improvement with student learning and assessments, the continuation of safe and supportive learning environments, and new opportunities for the student engagement and learning. Dr. Dana's collaboration with the town and the community regarding the Smith School project has been very valuable and insightful. I'm looking forward to the advancement of this project in the next year. Dr. Dana has continued to show her commitment to the Danvers Public Schools and the community by being involved in a number of community organizations, including Danvers Cares, DEEP, the North Shore Education Consortium, and the Massachusetts Association of Superintendents. Dr. Dana continues to support the staff and students by attending many of the events and activities hosted year-round, and the Danvers Public Schools community is very fortunate to have such a hardworking, visible, and caring superintendent leading our district. And I'd like to thank you again for everything that you do and will continue to do. And I know, like Eric said, you are going to lead this district to success. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jeff?
I don't have that many words, but
What?
Yeah, I know. Go figure. No, I look at typically a couple things here. One is the supporting evidence, and so I believe everything that you submitted for us is the summative evaluation. Is that distributed to the public as well, or all of those things? It looks like the supporting evidence certainly is the strategic plan is out there, perspectives on the district, the annual reports. the college profiles, all of that is
Yes,
is
yes.
available. Okay,
So I
so
put
if
it
I
into
reference
one-
this, I don't
yes.
want people to say, well, what is this guy talking about? Which they probably do anyway. But so yeah, I mean, when you think about how we've progressed over the past year, I very much appreciate looking at all of these sorts of documents and evidence, and I think the strategic plan is the one for this year that I try to say, do we have a good foundation? Have we done the right things to support that growth and not just be sort of on par, but do we have a good, stable base from which to sort of expand? And I think presentations like tonight, where we talk about, not just, basic presentations, PowerPoint, different things like that, but we really think about how students learn, why they learn, what they need in the future, the Smith School, all of that, I think, in that forward visionary sort of sense is what we certainly, appreciate. And our students are doing well. When they go to college, they are prepared. The feedback we've gotten from alumni is very good. There are some certain things that, I will still say we kind of probably need to look at a little bit more. We talk about test scores in the past. In particular, when you look at that, the more I look at it, it's really kind of just that typical dip that we've got at the middle school, right? If you look at our scores at the high school, they're exceptional. Elementary, there's some dips and valleys, but certainly we're doing well there. But every school district, if you look at the overall numbers, has a dip in middle school. And so, there's certainly some things there in terms of, student preparation. We have the right teachers. I believe we've got the right curriculum. We've revamped it. We spent a lot of time with that, so certainly appreciate it. So from the overall evaluation, you're focused on the right things. You listen to the community. Working with you in Danvers Cares, I think that community partnership and understanding what students' needs really are is very important. And so I do thank you for that overall this year as well.
Thank you.
Dave?
I thought Jeff didn't have any words.
Yeah, really.
Well, I didn't have them, yes.
Okay.
He found them.
I found them. I tried.
I'm going to probably echo everything everyone has said so far. I, too, rated Dr. Dana as proficient. And I just want to remind everyone, or the three of you that are watching, that proficient is where you want to be. I always look at this, and because there is an exemplary category, but you have to be like, the best superintendent in the entire world to get ranked that. I'm not saying you aren't, but that's, you have to prove it and all this kind of stuff. So, so proficient is where you want to be, and that's where you are ranked. So I'm just going to read my summary comments as well. Dr. Lisa Dana continues to lead the Danvers Public School system very effectively. Lisa is a well-respected leader that has developed very strong relationships with the town manager, assistant town manager, and the leaders of all other town departments, such as police, fire, and DPW. She has an excellent rapport with superintendents and administrators in surrounding communities and other districts. These relationships are critically important when trying to accomplish goals both inside and outside of the school district. Lisa understands the importance of having a strategic plan that serves as the foundation of all the decisions made in the district. She continually refers to this plan to show connections in nearly every presentation that she gives to the school committee and in all her in her interactions with the staff. She worked with the planning team in the spring of 2018 to develop a strategic plan for the next 5 years, focus on social emotional learning and student engagement. Finally, Lisa has one of the longest tenures as a superintendent on the North Shore, and we're fortunate to have such strong, stable leadership. I'm confident that she'll continue to strive to provide the leadership necessary to offer the children of Danvers the best education possible, and I look forward to supporting her and the district in my role as a school committee member.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so as usual, well, first of all, I agree with most of everything that's been said. And as usual, I don't understand the tool that we use. Makes no sense to me. And I just want to make that clear, in case anybody hasn't watched the last 10 years. That said, what I do is, I just can only look at it from the big picture. All right. And what I've noticed over the last year, really kind of strikingly over the last year, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong about this, I've seen more excitement at these meetings, more passion at these meetings from these teachers that are presenting and the administrators sometimes. Like they're really, really excited about what they're doing. And it's been a constant over the last years. And that's like, you can't say any more than that. That's what the kids are coming into every day. And that's what they're seeing. And when they see that, they can't help but get, get excited and be happy about what they're doing and learning. And you saw the kids tonight, these two particular groups. I mean, obviously it's something different. It's something to them that's exciting. Obviously you can tell that they're learning more than they would otherwise. And so we do keep having, I really think that I'm seeing more and more of that. And so that's why I don't get too cranked up about things like a middle school test score or something like that. And even then, I have to be impressed with the fact that whenever we do have something to deal with, we have a plan. So when we came to that meeting last month or the month before, I think it was October, we talked about it, and you guys talked about it, and you had a plan as to how to deal with it. And even if I don't think it's that important, because I don't think it means much, you still had a plan to deal with it. And so that, to me, is also impressive. So I think the last year has been a good year. And that starts at the top. You're at the top. And so I think I'm happy with where we are. I'm happy with what you're doing. As I say every year, I either want you to stay or I don't want you to stay. I do want you to stay. I think you've done a really good job over the past year, and so I'll leave it at that. But it's all positive from my end.
Thank you very much.
Can I want to echo one thing, which is about whatever you're doing in terms of hiring and mentoring. When you've presented the mentoring program and. But I've noticed the same thing, Arthur, that the level of engagement among the staff who come here that we get to see, and we don't get to see everybody, but the people who come in are doing some special things and really engaging the students in a way that we might not have seen 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And when I think about where we were from a technology standpoint, when everyone was intimidated by smartboards, and now you have the staff just doing some amazing things with the available technology. It really speaks to the staff development. That's a big piece of what's going on. And I'm glad you brought that up, Arthur, because that's a big point.
To me, it's just something that's been very noticeable over the past year. And, it starts, as I said, with Lisa at the top, and it also goes to the various building principals and their assistants, and Mary, and a little bit to Keith. I'm only kidding, a lot to Keith. So I think that's where we are. Would you like to say anything?
Thank you for your amazing feedback and the collaboration that we do have. I think it is a unique opportunity here in Danvers for the amount of collaboration that we do have, and that really is a core value of the community and matches my core values. So to be able to work with the five of you in the best interest of our students, to be able to work with our administrative team, Mary and Keith leading the district. Sometimes I will say that I've never played on a sports team, but coming into the educational arena of how important a team is. And you see that now with our presentations that we have at our school committee meetings, that people are part of the team and we're all going in, moving in that right direction and that forward momentum for all of our students here in Danvers. So thank you for this opportunity.
Great. Thanks. Anything else from them? So we will continue, as we do every year, with the second part of kind of the evaluation process, which is to look at the contract, and we'll do that next month, and we'll address that at the January meeting. Okay? Perfect.
Thank you very
All right.
much.
So we'll go on to out-of-state field trip.
Thank you.
Request.
The superintendent recommends the approval of the out-of-state field trip for the DHS Model UN to go to Boston on March 22nd through the 24th, 2019. Our Danvers High School ski team to Bretton Woods, January 5th, 2019, Cannon Mountain on January 26th and March 2nd of 2019, and Loon Mountain on February 2nd, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Do we have any comment, question, discussion, anything? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, and on to fundraising.
Thank you. The superintendent recommends the approval of the fundraising events for the DHS cheerleading boosters. Our DHS wrestling boosters and the DHS DECA.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Order of business.
Thank you. Our first one is, our major one that we have every month is our North Shore Education Consortium, our Special Education Consortium. And in the link here is the annual report, and it will be on shortly on the website for our consortium. So it gives the overview of the different programs, the success, the number of students. Again, we had a very good audit report, and this annual report gives a snapshot of last year.
Eric, were you able to find any legislation over the past month?
Actually, I reached out to Representative Spiliotis's offices today, and the only thing that they pointed out was, and it's what I brought up last month about the new civics requirements that are going forward. And he sent an article along that the governor signed it, much like we talked about last month. So again, it's just something that we should be developing now to get ready for its implementation. But that's really about it. There's a short legislative session, I think, this month, and then the new legislature starts again in January.
Okay, great, thank you. And Deep.
Deep hosted the Downtown Holiday Festival Saturday, December 1st. It was well attended by the whole community. Businesses, downtown businesses participated. We had the a cappella groups from the high school, both Ingrid Sound and Falcon Eyes, as well as Hawks and Harmony from the middle school perform during that afternoon. There were arts and crafts, face painting. We had a lot of students from the high school volunteer their time for community service to help out with that. I just want to thank the community, all the businesses, the sponsors that helped continue this town tradition of the holiday festival and lighting of the tree downtown and Santa arriving. So our next Deep meeting is this Wednesday at 7:45 at First Ipswich Bank. And then in February, we'll be having the Holton Richmond Spelling Bee, February 7th, at the high school here in the auditorium. And then we will be getting ready for the Deep teacher grants again. So far, it's been a great year for Deep.
Yeah, and I would say that I don't have little kids anymore, so I'm not downtown. But when the kids were little, that was really one of the best days of the year. So I'm glad that you and Deep have kept that event going.
Yeah, Deep picked it up this year because the Downtown Improvement Committee, which was an organization of the businesses downtown, that group was disbanded, and so the town wasn't going to continue to do just the festivities. They would have had a tree lighting, and as you know, Deep, we care about the community, the children, and the families, and we didn't want to see it die. So it was a very rewarding experience as well. The evening started out a little slow, but by 5 o'clock, I couldn't see from the tree I couldn't even see down to the end of Maple Street, where the gas station is. So I don't know how many people were there. If you're going to ask me, I mean, it's really hard to judge, but I would say.
Enough people I couldn't find you.
Ever.
Yeah, actually,
I looked for you, Mary Beth, and I couldn't find you.
I know. I'm not gonna lie. Santa did say that was the most children he's ever had sit on his lap for pictures. So, again, I just want to thank everyone involved with that because it truly is a community event.
Yeah, thank you for that.
I'm just impressed you got to talk to Santa.
I did. I got my picture taken with him too.
All right, Danvers Cares.
Danvers Cares. So that was Andy gave a pretty good, kind of overview of some of the wellness work that's been going on. Dave, what was the holiday cheer doesn't come in a bottle? Was a huge success with 400 people.
That was part of the downtown event that Deep put on. Representatives, the student leaders from Danvers Cares, were Santa's helpers at one of the banks downtown, and East Boston Savings Bank. Give them credit, and they handed out little recipes for drinks, non-alcoholic drinks, with that theme that holiday cheer doesn't come in a bottle.
Perfect. 400 people. That's great.
Yeah, I will say that Danvers Cares and Lyle and the student members were there the whole time, and again, that was they were packed. So that was great exposure.
Great. Yeah, they've done a lot of good stuff. I mean, there's just a couple program updates. You know, they've got 20 people signed up for the TIPS program this past Saturday, which was a lot. Talked about Light the Night Purple as well. There's preparation for that, so definitely doing well.
Okay, thank you. CPAC, we've already addressed that. Policy, we've already addressed that. Back to you with the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee.
Yes, so the big thing was the lighting of the menorah on December 3rd, 6 o'clock at the library. So that was well attended, very nice event. And preparations are now happening for the Dr. King celebration in January. So I know and that's on the 21st. Right? I mean, 7, 14, 21, so I'm going to guess it's the 21st.
When's the school committee? Oh, no.
We're going to guess it's the 14th.
We're doing some research over here.
Yes.
We have had 2 meetings with the Education Subcommittee of the Human Rights and Inclusion, mostly around the Martin Luther King, but looking at curriculum and sharing some ideas back and forth too. So we always look forward to those meetings and being able to have those in-depth conversations.
Great, sounds good.
All right, minutes.
Yes, I move to approve and release the minutes from the November 19th, 2018 regular school committee meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, and budget.
So before you have your monthly budget report, we do remain on target for this year. In January, we'll be giving a mid-year transfer report. So as we keep working our way through our FY20 budget requests, we keep fine-tuning numbers, making sure all the salaries are accurate for this current year as well. So you'll see some small transfers then. For this year, we've discussed moving our budget hearing combined with our February meeting into one meeting. So as we looked at calendar, we are going to look at February 11th for that meeting, which is our regularly scheduled budget hearing. So a little bit earlier than normal, but that way if it does snow, we can save the other date to fall back on.
That's the second Monday in February?
It would be the second Monday. So while we're on that vein, I do think we're going to look at January 14th for the school committee meeting. The 7th looks like it was off, so we'll correct that as long as that works with everybody's calendar on the committee.
So this week we can put out a revised schedule for January and February to get back on schedule. How we all missed that.
And then we do have one donation, so we just want to thank Rotary. They recently donated $1,500 to the athletic department. So we thank them for their annual support of athletics here at the high school and the middle school.
All right, great. Personnel.
You'll see the personnel report, a quiet month. I would like to just recognize Julie McDonald, whose last official day is with us, December 21st, the Friday before break. So we wish her well in her retirement, and we welcome Patrick Hamilton, who's been a longtime special educator with us as the interim assistant principal for the rest of the school year at the middle school.
All right, great. And next meeting is January 14th?
Yes.
All right, Diane, you have that?
Yes, January 14th.
All right, excellent. Does anybody have anything else?
Yes, a
Oh, yes.
motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that's it. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Good night, dear.
Thank you.
That's good.